Hello, everybody. How you all doing? Welcome to the Couch Live. I'm the street certified dope doctor Louis Delgado here with you, and of course, I'm here as always with my co-host Dr. JoJo Brown. Hello.
Hi, how
Hi.
are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So do I out you that we didn't have a show yesterday because you had to get your nails did?
Sure,
Yeah, was it worth it, people? Was it worth it? Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
please.
She had to get it done, so we're working on a Saturday instead. So that's good. But for those listening on WOKB 1680 AM or 100.7 FM in the Central Florida area, of course you're listening to it. It's a Monday evening. Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing in the WOKB world? Glad to have you with us. Other people, they're probably listening on Facebook Live. They're listening on Twitch. They're listening on YouTube live, or watching this or listening to this, however you get your favorite podcasts. I know it's hard to find because there's so many apparently couch lives out there, so they make it real difficult. And the only way to improve that is you got to like, subscribe, share with a friend, do things like that. Of course, you could always find JoJo, Dr. JoJo Brown. Are you going to change that at limitless and authentic that you have right there in your tagline to something else, or did you already change?
Just thinking when I saw it, it is changed already.
It's already. So what is it?
JoJo Brown is my new Instagram.
Dr. JoJo Brown?
Yeah.
So please, people, at Dr. JoJo Brown, you can follow her on what, Instagram, and where else? You can
On Facebook, JoJo
Okay.
Koya Brown, Dr.
Right
JoJo.
on.
And then you have this TikTok thing that I'm trying to
Yeah, get with it.
so I'm
But
a little consistent.
look, by the time we figure TikTok out, it'll be out. It'll be over. So anyway, you can find me on at the Dope Doctor, of course, on TikTok, on Instagram, and everything like that. At the Dope Doctor. Anyway, so let's get into it because there's an important thing I want to talk about today, JoJo. You brought up a topic when we were talking off air not long ago about if women should stay with a man or not if they didn't get a ring put on their finger. And at first glance, when you brought that up, the first thing that comes to my mind is this more of a cultural thing? You know, so I do want to get into that while we have this discussion. Is it a cultural thing? Because since I come from a Latino culture, right, and mainly in the Latino culture, at least the one I come from, it's a lot of Catholics, right? We're all raised, it seems like a lot of us are raised Catholic, right? And that doesn't exist. So there's no such thing as, you know, it's frowned upon if you even live together before you're married kind of thing. So me growing up, there wasn't any of that ring. You got to put a ring on it because it was just a given. You're gonna get married. You're gonna find somebody. You're gonna get married. That's when you can have kids and all that. So at first I thought, is this an American culture thing? Is this a black culture thing? Is this a South thing, North thing? What is this? Is this a cultural thing or is it truly a global thing? I don't know. So I'm really not too sure of the answer to that. But the more I thought about it, it does bring up issues of commitment and loyalty, correct?
I agree completely.
And so that's where I think we need to take it today, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, we did call the show today For Better or Whenever. That is the name of this show because even though it used to be For Better or Worse, that doesn't seem to be the case when we're talking about things like this, right, Joe? It's like for better or whenever, you know, I'll see you later today, tomorrow.
It's definitely different now.
Right. So let's talk about it. So commitment, loyalty, all these words that sound good until you live them out, right? So these days, relationships do look different. I understand that. And people are building families without marriage, right? They're co-parenting with multiple baby mamas or daddies and saying we don't need a piece of paper to prove our love. It's just a piece of paper anyway, right? And to some of you, maybe that may be true. Maybe marriage ain't the magic trick. Maybe it is. I don't know. That's a different kind of discussion. You want to argue about it? You can argue about it. But if that's the case, then why are so many people breaking promises, right? Why are so many kids growing up learning love is temporary, even if you're not married or not? I mean, you know, if that's what you believe, then why is it so many people are learning these lessons? And here's one thing. You don't need a ring to be committed. You're absolutely right. You don't need a ring to be committed, but you do need character, right? Commitment ain't about legal papers, but it is about consistency, right? And it's about doing the right thing even when you don't feel like it. It's saying when it's uncomfortable, it's staying. I mean, it's staying even when it's uncomfortable, not just staying when it's convenient. I think that just makes it way too easy. And anybody can fall in love. That's the easy part. But being loyal, that's work. It takes hard work. I get asked all the time because Dana and I have been together since 1990. We've been together, right? So it's been a long time. People think, what's the secret? Well, it's work. That's
Hmm.
discipline. That's integrity. And if we're being honest, too many people want the benefits of commitment without the burden of accountability, right?
Absolutely.
They want to
Absolutely.
be called real without actually being reliable.
Mm.
And
Okay.
look,
I
I
like
get it. Life's messy. People change. I get it. Not every relationship's last. Not every relationship should last. By the way, some of you, you're in the wrong one. But if you bring a child into this world, that is forever. Right?
right.
The decision has been made. You don't get to walk away from that job just because the romance part has expired. Right? You can have multiple baby mamas and still be a man of loyalty. I may not agree with the multiple baby mama thing, but you can still be a person, a man. I'm talking to you men out there. And yes, you can still say the word man these days, of loyalty, but it
Mm.
takes intention, it takes honesty, and a whole lot of humility. So today we're going to talk about what loyalty really means in this new world of ours. And we're going to ask, can you be fully committed without marriage? Yeah, you listening right here, you watching this, can you be fully committed without marriage? And can you love more than one person and still live with integrity? Because some of you have that like thing going on, right? You think, oh, I can love multiple people. I love her and her. Okay. And are we confusing freedom with faithfulness? Like, is
Mm.
that where we're going with it? Because real love, that lasts, right? Isn't built on passion or paperwork, but it is built on presence. You being there, you being present emotionally. It's built on trust, and it's built on the kind of loyalty that shows up when no one is clapping for you. So
Mm.
love without loyalty is just temporary comfort, right, Jojo? Just
Yeah.
temporary comfort.
Okay.
So are you committed or just convenient? And with that, let's get started. Okay. So I'm going to start with a question for you,
Okay.
Jojo. All right.
Let's do
So
it.
do you, Dr. Jojo Brown, believe you can be truly committed without marriage? And what does commitment look like to you?
Hmm. Okay. So yes, let me start with that.
Okay.
You can have commitment and not have marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Commitment is so the word loyalty kind of intertwines with commitment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It is a group of certain things like responsibilities and values and goals, despite emotional or situational barriers. And
Mm.
so, if I am committed to you, then what I have the respect for you that you desire, that we desire for each other, um,
Right.
the accountability I have is towards you because of us understanding what commitment means. Another thing I think commitment where we get misconstrued is my commitment to mine might look different than yours and your couple
Right.
because
Right. Right.
my commitment could possibly be yes, we are on the same page. However, we bring other people into our relationship,
Mm.
and some people say, oh no, that means that you're not committed to that individual. But if that is the commitment that we share, that we define, then why aren't we still up under commitment?
Hmm.
You ever thought about that? Because I get that too when I'm
Yeah.
counseling, and there's a discrepancy of, well, I'm committed, but they're not committed. Well, what does commitment look for both of you all, and what do you want it to look like together? And I
Right.
think that's the part that people misunderstand, or you don't have that conversation. So you're thinking like, oh my gosh, like you are breaking our commitment. But this individual
Mm.
has a completely different idea of what commitment looks like or what it's supposed to look like in
Oh
unity.
my God, you bring up such a great point right there, because defining terms is what we do with all contracts, right? Anytime you go into a contract, you purchase anything, before you even get into the body of the contract, you define the terms, right?
Right.
But in real life, like in relationships, it's a contract, right?
Mhm.
There are friendship contracts, there's personal contracts, right? There's familial contracts, but we don't have that definition of terms. But I like what you're saying right there. So maybe the conversations early on in
Mhm.
a relationship should be a lot more geared towards, let's define some terms before we even get to the beef of it,
Absolutely.
right?
What
Instead of just trying to figure out what do I need to say to get what I want out of this chick, right? Because I think we get into that too much, right? The guys are out there just trying to get a certain thing out of you. The women probably are trying to do the same kind of thing, but I can only speak from the men perspective, right? So we're trying to impress. We're doing all that stuff. I don't think we're saying let's define some terms because that'd be kind of corny and weird to do that like that anyway.
I
But
I suggest that. So when you're
okay,
first getting to know someone,
yeah.
there's a couple questions that you ask, especially depending on what space you are in.
So like
But
interviewing them.
yes, interview your boo. If there's someone you
I
want to
like
be
it.
with, be intimate with, you need to ask questions. So one of them, since we're talking about commitment, what does commitment mean to you?
Whew.
Because how I was raised as far as commitment goes could look completely different than yours. It
Yeah.
reminds me of I work with clients too, and it's usually women. The woman is distraught because the man cheated on her or whatnot.
Right.
And the man is like, we don't go together. You know, like, and they're like, well, we were together. I'm like, well, did you ever ask or confirm that you all were in this committed relationship? No,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
because they feel like in their mind they have committed themselves intimately, loyalty, that they have this bond, this monogamous relationship.
Oh.
The guy is on a completely different track. And so that's why these conversations about what does commitment look like. You brought
So
up loyalty. What does loyalty look like?
okay, so let's pause there for a second then. So you bring up a really good point right there. So because I think we do take certain kind of activity or conversations or time spent with someone may define for me commitment, right?
Mhm,
So for instance, if we get all the way physical, right?
mhm.
That might mean, well, we're a thing now, right? To some people is what you're
Right.
saying, right?
Ex-
So we have to be careful of that. I do remember, and it's a long time ago because girl, I haven't been single for since I was 20, right? But I do remember that there were certain women that I just would not get all the way physical with because I felt that was dangerous. That she's going to take that wrong, so I'm just going to not do that with. And then there's other kind of women that like that's their thing, so that's cool with them because it's not gonna. It means as little to them as it does to me in a way, right? But to these women over here on this side, that means like, are we getting married one day, right? So,
right. Exactly.
and come on, fellas, you know what you're doing when you do it. So is that what you're talking about? Like there's certain things that make someone think this is more serious. Now we are a thing. Now we're in a commitment because we've been talking every day, or because we've been having lunch every day, or because we did get physical, or because I kissed you. I don't kiss everybody, that kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And
Okay.
I would say this to the ladies: just stop right here, real quick. Just because you give up the cookie, does that mean that you are in a committed relationship with
Mm,
someone?
mm,
If you all have not had that conversation,
mm,
so yes, I absolutely agree 1,000% about what you just said. Commitment is how you show up,
yeah.
but if we're not on equal yoke of what showing up means, showing up might be like, okay, I see you every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
We do our thing, woo, 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 and that's it.
Right.
Whereas commitment to this person is like, no, I'm supposed to see you every single day. You're supposed to call me on my lunch break. But that's a misunderstanding. That's a lot.
Mm,
If we have the conversation, people can avoid.
right. And we talk about, because we talk about addiction and mental health issues on the show. This is what it's about, right? Um, Expectations lead to premeditated resentment. So if you expect because of whatever your definitions are of commitment and how far you've gone with this individual, and then get mad at them later for having a different perspective on that, that could be an issue. That could set you back to the point where now your depression kicks in, your anxiety kicks in, your well, some people can light cars on fire and like blow them up on internet, social media, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that can come out, and you just set yourself up for it. Some of you can even, if you're sober, you can relapse or you can have an issue with substances a little bit harder than you wish to have at that point. Yeah. These are really important conversations, but you got to make it cool, though, right, Jojo? I mean, you can't come out with a pad. Like, you can't break out your pad and say, okay, I got some questions to ask you, right? Or do you do that? Is that okay?
I think it's fine. That's
Okay.
good. I would rather you have a list of questions. And I tell people like do it earlier on. Because if I'm sitting up here and
Okay.
we've been dating for 2, 3 months and
Yeah.
everything's going great,
Yeah.
you haven't had the conversations and you're not interested after you
Yeah.
have the conversations, you've wasted 3 months of your time with someone who, if you would
Yeah.
have asked the questions, you
Mm.
would have known, like, okay, this is the person I want to get to know more. No, we are not aligned in the things that we desire in our life right now.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I encourage that with every single person. And if I could do it all over again in
Yeah.
my younger years, I would have the pen and paper. My friends laugh when I share with them. Some of them like, "What you want us to ask all these questions like an essay?" And I
Yeah.
said, "Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll thank me later, but that's a part of commitment is the action too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's consistency as well.
I
So
like it.
how are you consistent with me? That shows a
Yeah.
commitment, right?
Okay. All right. So let's move on from commitment and let's get into loyalty then. Okay, because that's intertwined. So what's harder, being loyal or finding someone that will be loyal to you?
Oh, sugar diggy. For me,
Yeah.
finding loyalty is definitely more difficult because I know that I am extremely loyal,
Mm.
too loyal,
Yeah.
if that's a thing, right?
I don't know if I don't know if it is, but I can understand that probably comes from a place of someone being disloyal to you. So right now, that's where you're at. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and one thing you tapped on is sometimes the individual feels like, oh, if they're no longer in a relationship, they're single, or they just got out of something, just been cheated on, kind of like what we
right,
shared. That doesn't mean that you're not still a loyal person.
right, right,
I
right.
mean, if you're a loyal individual, do not allow someone or something to try to shift, who you are. It's just that you've been loyal to the wrong individual, not for you to become a disloyal person.
Right. And loyalty is an action word, is it not? I mean, loyalty. I mean, love is what you feel, but loyalty is what you do. Right.
Absolutely.
It's an action word, or in a lot of cases, not doing the action, and that's the loyalty that you need to be showing, because it's having someone's back when when you don't like them at the moment, right? Because everybody fights, everybody's going to be in an argument, but if your instinct is to, all right, well, you're pushing me into that girl's arms, or you're pushing me to go out, if you keep on questioning if I'm cheating, then I'm going to cheat, I might as well cheat then, you know
Going, yeah.
you're really, that's, we're five now, we're seven.
Right. And I'm going to add that to the list. It's
Yeah.
on paper because just like commitment,
Right. What is loyalty? Yeah.
how do I define my loyalty? In
Yeah.
general, I could be a loyal person because I pay bills and
Mm.
I treat you to the finer things.
Mm.
That's how I define loyalty because when I grew up, that's how my dad showed loyalty to my mother.
Oh.
Whereas, okay, no, loyal means to me is that you come home every night, you don't talk to anyone else. There's no woman calling your phone. To this individual might be like, oh, well, women call my phone, but I'm not intimate with them. I'm still being loyal to you. So it's the same thing. The
Right.
conversation that we don't have a lot of
Right.
the times is how do you define loyalty? Loyalty
Man.
to that you keep it real, you're truthful, you're honest, no matter what. Like those are things that I just define as loyal.
I
You.
look. I fellas. I strongly suggest you get these definitions down, especially this one. This one. You
Yep.
might think you know. You might think you know, but I'm going to ask you. Do you feel like the women that you've gone with in the past? Now I'm talking to the fellas right now. To the women you've been with in the past. Were you as loyal to them as you are to your friend?
Mm.
I mean, because you and your friends, I mean, that's a different set of loyalty, I feel, because I watch it. I've
Mhm.
seen you all do it, right? And I think the biggest problem, Jojo, that we have as men part is the physical loyalty and emotional loyalty, right? That as soon as we started hearing that term emotional cheating, I think every man's butt puckered up. I really do. I feel like everyone's like, whoa, wait a minute. What is that? What is emotional cheating? I didn't get physical. I didn't touch her. I didn't kiss her. I didn't go out with her. I could have. And then the woman is saying, no, emotional cheating is worse than physical cheating. And I think that just threw men for a loop when that first came out. And they're probably still throwing men for a loop.
I agree with you completely.
So can you explain that a little bit? What is that part? Because that's being disloyal, right? That emotional stuff, that DMing somebody privately, talking to a woman behind the other woman's back, I mean, all that kind of stuff. Can you speak a little bit on that so that the guys can understand? Because I know some are listening to it, and I know some women right now are saying, "Girl, boy, you need to listen to what they're talking about right now because they're talking about you." Right?
My type of loyalty, how I define, absolutely, you better stay out that DM. Absolutely, that from DMs to having certain intimate conversations to having a level of communication that is outside of friendship or even just talking about things like being vulnerable. Oftentimes, and this is for ladies too, is that if a man, like a man, woman, or if someone you are dating is not, let's say, communicating as well, or you all on two separate waves, right? And then you go to confiding in another individual who validates you, while you're vulnerable and things like that. That's still cheating. And a lot of, like you said, males feel like if I don't have intimacy with physical intimacy with this individual, right, I'm just having conversation. This is just my friend. And it also aligns with finding out, I'm gonna go back to that, finding out what loyalty means to that individual. I do agree, and some would not. There are you wouldn't believe how many women will leave based off of emotional cheating opposed to physical cheating, because physical is just in and out. Emotional cheating is you are bonding with someone emotionally and mentally. So the sacredness or the bond that we have, you are now sharing it with someone else. And that in itself, woo, powerful. Now for me personally, you can't do either or. I'm out. But there are, individuals who can give for the physical because it was a one and done or whatever. They were going through a hard time. But then you find out that you are invested and you calling this woman when you leave for work and you're talking to them on the way home, and they're texting you and you have them up under Bob and not Julie, like that it's like a break of trust or a break of commitment or loyalty.
Yeah. See, I had to learn this one. I got to be honest. This one did not come natural for me. This one was a little bit more difficult for me to get, and I had to play with this in my head to fully understand because I feel very loyal. So I wanted to, how do I better present loyalty? So and I had to understand, okay, so if Dana laughs at another guy telling a corny joke, and I'm not saying a funny joke, because if it's a funny thing and I'm laughing with it, I get it. But there's some guys that they're kind of playing up to your woman or they're flirting with your lady, right? And they're telling something corny. And I remember when she'd laugh at it, I'd give her that look like, you're buying into this stuff that this guy is selling right now, right? Or if they are too impressed, like if Dana's too impressed with somebody and I'm like, really? So I get it because I'm not a jealous person. But that's how I had to put it in my head. Like, well, if that little bit bothers you, what would it feel like if Dana got real good news? She just found out and the first person she thought to tell was another guy. Yeah. Or she just felt something really bad and needed comfort. And the first person she felt to go talk to about that pain is another guy. And then it clicked. That's how I had to play with it in my head, JoJo, seriously, because I seriously thought, oh, okay, words are different than physical, right? Because if you don't believe that, then, I've been cursed out a lot, but once you punch me in the face, that's the physical. So I was always in the mindset physical is much worse, right? And I'm not so sure one is worse than the other, and I think it depends on the person. I really do think it depends on the person. But if on your person, if to your person, words and that emotional commitment is bad enough, then that's what you have to respect. And that's loyalty for that person then. So
Exactly.
it's not just your definition. It's am I living by my definitions, or is a better marriage or better relationship when you live by their definitions for them?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's again goes back to having that question, that
Yeah.
conversation. What does
Right.
loyalty mean to
Right.
you? What does it mean to
Right.
me? And what is it going to mean for us? I
Right.
met with a client literally on Tuesday, and that's the exact question that I asked them.
Mm.
What do you define as commitment? What does it
Hmm.
mean for this person to cheat? And
Right.
they were on two different waves.
Right.
She's like,
Right.
no, if you talk to another woman, absolutely not. It's not okay. And
Right.
he's thinking, well, like you said, well, I don't want, what's a conversation like,
Yeah.
And so, but without having that conversation, it can end a relationship.
Yeah.
It
Well, the
can end
problem.
a marriage.
Well, the problem is we're such needy animals, right? We just want validation everywhere. We just want everyone to like us sometimes. And you may not act or say it. You may think, oh, that sounds corny, or you may deny it, whatever. But look, if somebody looks like you got your nails done, right? Show the nails again. Show the nails again. Now, don't you want people to notice that? I mean, you didn't get them done for nothing. And I know what you want to say, I got it done for me. Yeah, you got it done for you, but for you and all the comments and us liking it and everything, because that makes you feel better too. It's just
No,
natural that it makes you feel better. No. Of course it makes you feel better, JoJo. You're going to say it doesn't make you feel better when people
no,
compliment your nails? Stop it.
no.
Stop it.
I
Stop it.
promise you. No,
Flag.
I'm
Flag on the
serious.
play. Flag on
No,
the play.
I'm
Get out of
so
here. Come on.
serious. I am
Come
so
on.
serious. I'm so serious. Now
So
I
so
can
if
relate.
so if somebody so if you had so let me tell you, 5 people walked up the day you got your nails done. If 5 people walked up to you and said, "Where did you get that? Oh my God, girl, you need to go to my person." 5 people said that in the same day. What would you do?
I'm like, oh girl, thank you. And
No, if
like
they
I
didn't
got
like
them
them.
done.
If they didn't like them.
So, oh, okay. They mine. As long as I love them, that's what matters. I promise you. I like when I was
Okay.
younger, probably in my younger days, did I want everyone to love everything about me and what they see? Absolutely. In my age, I don't know if I'm older or what. Y'all don't have to like my nails. I like them. That's why I got them. That's why I paid for them. For me. But not everybody is like that, Louis. I
I
promise.
I call foul on the play. I seriously do. I think you do want people to like them. It's
Mm-mm.
normal. It's not a bad thing. Yes, you have to like them.
No,
You
you know
and
I
it
was
is more important, and you like them. No, I look.
no, Louis.
I
I'll
don't.
tell you who I want to like them. Right?
Well,
There's
go ahead.
the man I'm with.
Okay.
That
Okay.
that will matter. Like, do you like my nails, baby? You know what I mean? And if they're like, then I
So
don't want to
that's
get them like that anymore.
I
Because
didn't I
I'm just
didn't put a
trying to turn you on. You know what I mean? Like that's
but I didn't put a number on it. It could be one person, it could be 50 people, but it does involve other people. We need that. We like that.
what my significant other,
There you go.
my other half.
That's
You
that's because
know?
you're loyalty. That's because you're loyal. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if people would hate it, and this goes to like I know there's a lot of eccentric people in the world. I do some eccentric things. You do some eccentric things, right? So
Mhm.
there are things that you and I may do or look a certain time where it's a little, and we do it for us. I get that. That is for us. But there is a population that are okay with us being us. But there is a population that's not. So I'm not talking about the populations that we already know they're not impressed by how we're looking that day or acting that day. But
Mhm.
we do have a segment, little tribe that's different. Those people have that inner thing, right? So if my wife ever looks at something that I'm wearing, say I'm the opposite than you. If my wife looks at it, and goes, like I don't like that. I'm like, okay, because I don't necessarily always respect her what she yeah. She can like me all she wants. She likes me for other reasons, but I'm like, you're not with me because of the pants I'm wearing. So I'm like, that ain't what got you. You know what I mean? So you can't comment on debate that I didn't use, right?
Yeah, I'm
But
not.
the date. But if she looks at me and she goes, I don't like your personality, or you're not funny to me, that would cut deep, because
Oh,
it's like, whoa, wait, that's the worm that got you. You know what I mean? That is the hook. Yeah,
but
that'd be
you
different.
like me.
Yeah. That'd be different. All right, let's get on to something else. Baby mamas. Got to talk about baby mamas because
Baby
when you talk
mom.
about commitment and loyalty, yeah, when you talk about commitment and loyalty, this is out there, right? So there's a lot of people, right?
Oh God.
Does having kids with multiple people, does that make you bad? Does that make you a bad person, or does it just make life more complicated?
I don't think you're a bad person. It's complicated, and it's definitely affecting the children.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's not bad unless, well, I mean, depending on your religious views, values,
Right, 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 right,
that from that side of the fence. But you're not bad because you have multiple baby daddies or baby mamas. But how does it affect the children? Importantly, matters to me when I think about it.
I take issue with how people are proud of it. I take issue when I see young men specifically that they seem to be kind of proud of having multiple babies with multiple women. Like
Like trophies.
that bothers me. I got to admit that bothers me.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
think it's nasty.
and this with the ring thing is what I was saying that is it cultural? And I'm just going to be bold and ask it. You know, again, I come from a Latino culture, so that's I come from a culture where people stay in bad situations. So I'm not saying that's better. You know, they'll stay married 50 years in a bad situation. So I'm not saying that's better.
Yeah,
But
leave.
but at least on the outside, so that perspective or that raising, that's where I'm coming from. So please understand and respect that. So this is why I have that question. The multiple baby mamas and the ring on the finger, is that an American culture? Is that a black culture thing? Is that what kind of where's that coming from where it's become so prominent? And so, like, I hear it in music. I hear people talking about it, bragging about it. I mean, there's this one song I like right now. It's a Latino song. It's two Latinos actually singing it, talking about like being disloyal, talking about that they cheat. I mean, like openly in the song.
Hmm. Well, in some ways, it's a catch-22 because
Yeah.
a lot of what we're learning
Right.
about cheating is because everything is on blast now, right? Back in the older days when we didn't have all this, I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
was still cheating going on.
Right.
Maybe less, can't I wasn't back there, but I do know
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot different. Even if your grandpa had another family over there, they didn't intertwine, right? They were
Are you talking for? Are you talking about mine? Go ahead.
you know darn well you don't show up to this door with no baby saying it's mine back in the day, right? But I do think it's a mixture of it put a lot in the pot. So
Right.
you do have
Right.
the rappers and other influencers who are presenting it as it is like a badge of honor or a
Big
trophy.
time. What
Exactly.
Nick Cannon walks around proud with it, right? How many kids does Nick Cannon have?
I don't even know, but it's horrible because at the end of the day, regardless of how much money you have,
Yeah.
uh, it's not all about
No.
money with our
No.
kids. What's more important than them having a nice house than the designer things is time.
Yeah.
I learned that being a
Yeah.
parent myself, and I wish that I had spent more time, have more of a
Mm.
presence in my son's life, opposed to working my buns off to make sure he wore Gucci and
Right.
make sure we didn't live in the projects. But I would honestly, if I could go back again, I would have lived. I'd rather lived in a project and provided that time, invested
Right.
in that presence, versus the other side where he looked and lived real lavishly.
Well.
So going back to the whole baby daddy thing, baby mama thing, I do also know that individuals, relationships wise, back in the day, they were more, I would say, in a committed relationship
Right.
to me.
Mm.
Whereas now, social media has also, one of the negatives of social media is that everything's so temporary,
Temporary.
right? Or everything is never enough.
Mm.
And one reason is because you see these perfect couples, perfect
Right.
relationships broadcasted because they're not telling you what's going on behind the social
Mm-hmm.
media. And
Mm-hmm.
so I see things differently because of what I'm exposed to.
Right.
So this is not a perfect relationship because I'm sitting there looking at Sierra and Russell, right? Whereas we don't know what goes on in their household.
Right. Right.
For us, we're so visual that we get caught up into that, and so now, you know what? Bye. And the next person, unfortunately, you end up having a baby with them, and then
Right.
you also have the baby mamas or the women who they want to just lock you in. I've heard women just want to have, I want him to be my baby daddy because he have good hair. And then you have some who want to have the baby daddy because they know they're rich and they're going to get a lot of money, just to live off if I have your baby. And so there are so many reasons
Right.
as to
Right.
why there are multiple baby mamas and baby. Let's not add they just like it without a condom.
Right. No, look. Anytime I hear, look, let's not have that discussion right now because I could take us to 40. We'll have 45 minutes of conversation just in that because I hear guys say the most ridiculous things
Yeah.
about that. So yeah, fellas, if you made a little smirk on that one, we can talk to you later privately if you want. But
Yeah.
let me get into this part about the baby's mamas and stuff like that. Here's where I take issue. I take issue with a man, and I use that maybe the definition, maybe it's defining terms. What I feel a man is, first of all, when you get with another person, um, that's it, and that's you got to be that man for safety, security, comfort, love, affection, ear, whatever you want to call it, right? And then you have kids, right? So that changes your life. That's the first change in life. I remember when it happened, loved it. I had to learn how to be the man for her. I had to learn how to be, I didn't have relationships prior to Dana, so I had to learn how to what relationship was as opposed to just hitting it. Then you have kids, and my life completely changed then because now I'm not living for me. I
Mhm.
mean, not for me at all. I now I have to live longer and stuff. So it bothers me when I see people that call themselves men that are still thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about that responsibility to that child and what that child is witnessing. Um, it's like you're forgetting that you had your own things that you witnessed in the adults, and that shaped you as a person growing up. And so are you trying to teach your young man or young woman that that's the way women should be treated or men should act? Is that what you're teaching them? You think that's the best thing to show them, that their mother is temporary, that she's just a thing to use physically, or your mom's crazy, that's why I'm over here. I love Dana's crazy and she loves my crazy. That's why we're together, because that crazy comes out pretty early on, and you either know I'm loving this crazy or not loving this crazy. That's why I ain't going nowhere. You can argue and fight with me all day long. I'm staying right here. But more importantly, with a child presence, when you show them that you use women as objects or you use relationships as temporary, everything becomes transactional, and it's the opposite of commitment. It's the opposite of loyalty. And I just struggle with men presenting that as what a man is, and it's just not. Being a man is not having multiple women. Being a man is being there for one woman. Being a man is being there for your children, not having 5,000 children.
Right. Well, that they say, if you want respect, the respect is not for the guy who dates 3 and 5 women. What's harder,
Right.
is they like, oh, it's hard juggling five. No, no, no. The
Sure.
real, the real challenge and the real flex is when you have one woman, one family,
Amen.
build off of that foundation.
Yeah.
Um, I lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say, oh, the conversation piece, right, is important. But also, what is important is before you lay with anybody or start getting intimate, because intimacy is not just physical.
Right.
If this person, you have to look at a person like, before I give you such, something special from me,
Mm,
are they worth it? Like,
mm,
if is this somebody who I can see my future with,
mm.
right? And I think that's what we have gotten away from as well. And you have people who feel like, well, as long as I'm paying my child support or I'm financially providing, my child is good. But there is nothing stronger than a united family that has a mother and a father in a home. It
Mm.
doesn't, you could be a great man, a great
Absolutely.
father, who comes and is at the football games and things like that. But the best way to raise children are in the home together. And
Amen.
I agree. If you are a man and you are bouncing from woman to woman, baby to baby, and you have a little girl, what are you saying to that little girl?
Mm, mm.
Then if you have a boy, what are you saying to that boy? And that is how you, generation after generation, we keep on seeing the cycle of this being acceptable in our culture.
Right.
And it shouldn't be.
Yeah, as a girl dad, I got to be honest with you. The biggest compliment I ever got from one of my daughters was when she says, "You taught me how a man should treat a woman,"
It,
and that makes me feel comfortable because at the end of the day, they're going to make their choices out there, and you just hope that they make good ones. And so far, they have. I think, whew, he shoots,
very
he
proud.
scores. Yeah, man, I'm more proud. I'm more proud of the men that they got with to this point than a lot of other things. To be honest with you, because that's the biggest fear that we have as parents, right? Is are they going to be happy? Who they're going to end up with? Things like that. But let's bring it back full circle because we have short time now, right? Um, let's bring it back full circle. So we're talking about commitment. We're talking about loyalty. We're talking about babies, mamas. Now bring it all back to redefining what real commitment is. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. You might have already answered it, but I'm going to ask you this question: what's one
Uh-oh.
truth about love or loyalty that you've learned the hard way?
Hmm. Staying in a relationship that I shouldn't have been in.
Hmm.
I would say you said something I learned from love and loyalty because I am, and see if someone can relate to this. Because I said it earlier, I am so loyal. I am so loyal that it makes me mad sometimes. So it has over the years. Like if I wasn't so loyal, oh, but it's just not in my pedigree to be disloyal. And so because of that, I will stay in something for too long
Yeah.
than I should because of my loyalty. It's hard for me to, let go or turn around and end something because of who I am when it comes to loyalty. So
Right.
it would have saved me, a couple bad relationships in my life. It would have saved me from being friends with individuals who I should not have been friends with for so long. It would have helped situations financially
Right.
if I, had moved forward. So that I would say that. What about you?
The, what I learned about love or loyalty the hard way is that definition thing. I think that I hurt Dana early on in our relationship. Luckily, not painfully, not things that we couldn't work through. And I'm just talking about just ideology, just time. I mean, I was so busy out there ripping and running. I was building business. I was still being very selfish in my time,
Mm,
and I didn't understand love languages back then. I didn't understand, I felt like because my dad was gone a lot. He was a military man. The military was taking him around a lot, right? Taking him always gone. So I felt like that's irrelevant as long as you bring home the money. And I still have to travel for a living now. I still travel a lot. But I'm saying wasn't traveling back then, and in my off time I spent way too much time out of the home as opposed to in the home. So I feel like I lost a lot of time there that
mm,
you don't get back. And even though a lot of it was work, well, all of it was really work. I would say 80% of it was work. But when I had that 20% free time, I divvied up maybe too much of my time and not our time. Does that make
yeah,
sense? So the work time, I think that's understood, right? That's understood because we made a commitment that she's going to stay at home and I'm going to do the working. We did very old fashioned ways, so that's fine. But when I had free time, I think some of that appeared to be disloyal to us
mm,
because I didn't always choose her to spend that free time with in those early years,
that's
and I think that's why I'm so family oriented now. Older, as I got older, I realized that wasn't cool. That
that's so
just wasn't cool.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So and we grow, right? So commitment isn't a contract; it's a character trait,
Mm-hmm.
right? Real commitment is not something you just decide one day. It has to be a character trait. You got to want to be committed, right? And you can't be loyal to someone else if you keep betraying your own values. And you don't want the person to change their values to fit you because they're just going to resent you for it later anyway.
That's not your person.
That's yeah,
It's not your.
seriously. And real love isn't about possession, it's about purpose, right? You got to if your purpose is aligned, right? If we're going in the same direction, then it just comes natural. Now again, can people grow apart? Yeah, you can grow differently and you can grow apart if
Right.
you already started stepping apart. Or you can grow together just differently.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things I like that Dana doesn't like. There's a lot of things she likes that I don't like. Early on, it seems that you like the same music, you like this. But as you get older, you change a little bit. But at the end of the day, I know when something is existing, and again, this is how I define it in my head. If something serious happens, that's who I want to talk to. That's who
Mhm.
I want to be with. When I sleep in a hotel room, it bothers me that it's like, damn, I don't sleep as well because Dana's not right there. I just like her around, and she just likes me around, and we feel good around. Like these are our friends. I don't have that's my friend. You know what I mean? That's my best friend. That's what I want to be around. That makes sense?
I think you said yes. I am committed to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and you are committed to me.
100%.
Now, what does that look like? Because once we are committed, which is
Yeah.
why, like
Yeah.
why people get married and the importance or the symbolism of that, it means like, you know what, through thick and thin, through better or worse, this is what commitment means for
Right.
us. And then
Right.
we put the work in to make sure that we never fall short of it.
Right. Yeah. Commitment's a big thing because I think you need maturity is the biggest thing with commitment, right?
Hmm.
And like when you ask me, the first thing that comes to my mind is I was immature. But I think a lot of people out here listening to us today, they don't even admit being immature. It's just like that's just the way I am. No, man, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing. And is it working for you? Is it working for the people that you say you love?
It's
You
funny.
know, maybe you don't really understand love. Maybe you understand maybe you understand infatuation. Maybe you understand want. Maybe you understand need, but maybe you don't understand love. And that's a whole different animal.
A
Right?
question, look, on my tablet,
Yeah.
listening, that's another question. Ask the question, what does love look like? How do you define love?
There
Very
you
important.
go. Good. Good. All right. So closing thoughts. We got to kick this back to WOKB 1680 AM because, if we were just doing podcasts is one thing, but this is a radio show. It is going to WOKB 1680 AM on the dial in the Orlando, Central Florida area and a 100.7 FM if you're in Central Florida. So closing thoughts, JoJo, on all this that we talked about for better or whenever.
For better or whenever.
Mm-hmm.
For better, I strongly believe that you have to find out what commitment and what loyalty means. We shared today what it means to us, but that does not mean that that's what it means to you. At the end of the day, make sure you all are unified to explore what that is. It will cause less grief, less heartache, and less pain.
Mm. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We talked a lot about love, right? We do talk a lot about love in society, but we don't talk enough about loyalty. Everybody has their own vision of things and definitions, and that's why we talked about defining terms. But everybody wants to be loved, but not everybody wants to be counted on, right? Some people are good, like don't count on me, right? Love feels good, but
Right,
loyalty costs something, right? And you can't buy it that easy. Like you can buy flowers,
right.
right? You can post pictures. Look at us. We're having a good time. We're great. You can make promises, right? A lot of you are good at making promises, but none of that means a thing. Not if you don't have that ring, not that part. None of that means a thing if you don't show up when it's
No,
hard. Because commitment isn't proven in your good days. It's proven in your worst ones,
that's it.
right? And no marriage ain't the answer for everybody. Although I strongly recommend it. I think it's a beautiful thing. It worked for me. I love it. But a ring doesn't make you faithful. A ceremony doesn't make you consistent,
Or committed.
right? But you know what it does? Character does. Character does.
Mhm.
Accountability does.
Absolutely.
Growth does. The willingness to look in the mirror, right, and say, I made a promise and I'm going to keep it. That's a big deal. And some people need that and require it. And that's all they want from you. And some of you are just refusing to give it. For whatever reason, you're just absolutely refusing to do it. And
Leave
anyone,
them.
yeah, if you're living with someone in that kind of fear,
Leave
that's
them.
not just a red flag. That's a final statement right there. If you got multiple baby mamas and that doesn't, that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad man. But what matters is if you show up for each child, because we did talk about baby's mama. So let me close with that too. You do have to show up for each child that you brought in this world, right? So whether you speak life into them, or do you just leave it in silence? Do you just not give them any feedback? Do you not talk to them? Do you not share with them? Do you not experience moments with them? Are you not at their baseball games, football games, recitals, whatever? Whether you leave peace behind or chaos, that's going to be up to you. That's the measure of a real man. Whether you create chaos in their life and abuse in their life, or confusion, or whether you show them that stability does exist out there and you wish that upon them. And don't
That's a
get
red
twisted.
flag.
Yeah. Commitment isn't about control. Okay. It's not about controlling the other person, right? It's
Um,
about connection, right? Loyalty isn't about ownership. It's about honor, right? And love, real love, it's not about who you can get or how many you get. It's about who you can keep when keeping them requires you to grow. And all of this, remember, is about growth and maturity. So maybe the challenge this week is simple: stop chasing comfort and
I know
start choosing character, right? Stop looking for the perfect person and start trying to be one, right? Focus
that.
on who you are, not on that other. Because love without loyalty will always, 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 always fall apart. But loyalty, even without marriage, can build something that lasts a lifetime. Okay.
Right.
And with that,
I,
that's it. And that ends the show for today. Thank you,
we're rooting
Dr.
for
JoJo Brown. Adios.